There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
So attention cricket clubs and cricketing family, are you ready to step up to the crease and make a long-lasting impact on your club's legacy? Listen up, we've got something special for you. Introducing Fund It Now, the revolutionary fundraising platform that's changing the game for cricket clubs everywhere. With Fund It Now, clubs of all sizes can create a lasting legacy by selling personalised plaques to their passionate members, supporters and cricket club family.
That's right, Livo. Fund It Now has already left its mark on some of cricket's most iconic venues like Lords, the home of cricket, Somerset County Cricket Club, and with projects such as the Father Time Wall and Somerset Legends Wall.
There's the best part, Hugh. There are absolutely no upfront costs. Fundraising has never been more simple or accessible.
Imagine walking around your club's ground or up to the pavilion and seeing a bespoke wall of dedication, celebrating the history of your club and supporting its future with every plaque. It's like your club's very own shrine to the sport we all love.
And getting involved couldn't be easier. Simply visit Fund It Now's website at funditnow.co.uk to get started today, or drop them an email at info@funditnow.co.uk to learn more. It's time to rally your supporters and start raising money like never before. And don't forget to tell them you heard it from us at the Premier League Cricket Show.
So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of clubs and grounds like Somerset County Cricket Club and Lords and make your mark on cricket history.
Visit Fund It Now today and start building your fundraising platform. That's funditnow.co.uk. Fund It Now, where passion meets purpose at your cricket club, and begin creating your own legacy. So welcome everybody to the Premier League Cricket Show and another one of our match week recordings. We're doing it a little bit on a hybrid is the best way to put it today. So bear with us a little bit because I'm in my usual place in my home office. But Mr. Hugh Newsome is, I think the word he just used was perched in Shrewsbury School. What you're doing over there, Hugh?
We're just seeing how the other half live. To be honest, that's what I'm doing. I'm just like peeking through the windows at high society, just my fingernails clawing over the edge. No, my lad's at a cricket festival, so he's buzzing. And he's not interested in the cricket particularly. He's just getting a week off from his mum and dad, so that's pretty much it.
That sounds a very fair place to be, without a shadow. Hey, joining us this week is a guest that we've been looking to get on for a few weeks now, and I'm glad we've got the right time at last. It suits us all. From a club that most people in the country will have heard of because of their exploits in the national competitions over the last few years in particular. And we've been desperate to talk to him about a number of things around that club and his league. So joining us today from Cuckney Cricket Club is their skipper, Adam Tillcock. How are we doing, Adam?
Yes, very well, thank you. We're finally on the show, so looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We're going to cut right to it, shall we? Let's cut right to the Notts League and let's just ask the question. You got beat at the weekend by the league leaders, Cabs and Carrington. Yeah, how disappointing was that result?
Yeah, it's always disappointing when you lose a game and you go to those big clashes and hope that you can get the win. But it wasn't to be. Cabs are a good side. Again, we probably weren't quite at our best. They're a tough team to beat at home, and I think they just showed their quality. They've got 2 very good top-order batters at the moment, both in very good form. We kind of saw that at the weekend, really.
Definitely. And for listeners who aren't aware, the Notts League's actually quite unique. I've been looking at some of the stats this morning. And would you believe that the top 3 are the same top 3 as last year in a different order? But not only the top 3, the top 6 are identical to last year, just in a slightly different order. And there's no other league in the country where those clubs have been able to maintain that sort of levels. And I think that's the key, isn't it? The levels between yourselves, between Kimberley Institute and Cabs, they're phenomenal, aren't they, year in, year out, Adam?
Yeah, it's, the top end of the NPL is very strong. You can see that in our national performances. Cabs obviously generally do quite well. Kimberley have got to the semi-final this year, and obviously we managed to get to the final and win last year. So those top teams are good. We always have very good fixtures against, and then the mid-table is actually improving. There's been some really good recruitment in the winter over the last few years. Mm-hmm. So I think some of those teams are going to try and start to push those top three. So it's a strong league. It's good. So yeah, it's a good place to play cricket.
It's an exceptionally strong league, apart from one place, and he knows what I'm going to say next, except for Radcliffe, isn't it, Hugh?
Well, I think they've just had a bit of a changing of the guard, Radcliffe, haven't they? So these things happen with clubs. So yeah, well, the less we say about Radcliffe, the better. But they looked after me when I was young, so there we go. That's the main thing.
There you go. I got it out of him. It is one of his old clubs, and he talks about it week in, week out. They are struggling. They are actually now, they're not technically relegated yet, but I think they need a win or two in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, they're done quite early on in the season there, Adam, aren't they?
Yeah, they've had their struggles. They've seen quite a few players leave within the winter or the last 2 years and just struggled to recruit, really. So it's just the way clubs can go. If you looked at them 3 or 4 years ago, they were pushing that top six. We're a tricky team to play against, but it's just the way that club cricket goes sometimes.
Yeah, the depth of the Notts League, it was sort of rammed home to me. There's a young lad I know who's just playing his first season as a 12-year-old in adult cricket for Cavs, and he's playing in their fourth team. And that their fourth team is playing in essentially the sixth division of the Notts League. So Cavs, basically, they're only two leagues shy of having a team in every league in order. So when your fourth team is playing in Div 6, that's a pretty strong outfit. So they've got that depth that they can call on, obviously, when they're maybe missing one or two in the first team, to just push up, which many clubs would be very envious of.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you look at Kimberley, Cuckney and Cavs, our second teams, Cavs' second team is in the NPL2. Cuckney and Kimberley are in the league below that, both pushing to try and get back into the NPL2, which obviously helps us when we're missing a few for holidays or various reasons. But Cavs are a strong side, lots of good young players. Obviously, they merged with Carrington and Cavaliers, so that was two teams joining together, but who were both strong clubs. So that's obviously made them a bit of a powerhouse in the middle of Nottingham.
How big was that merge in the NPL, Adam? Because as you said, they were two big clubs that came together. And did it take the NPL by surprise when that happened?
I don't know if it was by surprise. I think there's been ideas of that happening for a while. Obviously, I was part of Cavaliers, so kind of had an idea of what was going on. But I think it had been spoken about for a period of time, and then eventually kind of the two clubs sat around a table and figured out on how that would look. And, they've done really well out of it so far. So great work by those guys that were kind of really pushing that to happen.
Definitely. Let's get back to Cuckney. Last year, let's talk about last year, shall we? You had a phenomenal year. There's no two ways about it. You won the league and you had a rather decent run, shall we say, in a national competition. Tell us about that national competition for the listeners.
Yeah, it's a great competition. I think any of the top sides around the country will look at that and go, we're always looking to take that as deep as we can. It gives you more cricket, so you can stay in form easier if you're only a kind of a club cricketer. But you get to go around the country, you get to go play at different venues, see teams that you don't see, and kind of, I guess, compare your region to other regions. And we had just a great year. We got on a run, and momentum just kept going, and we just kept finding ways to win. We got to Lords, and who knows, best team wins on the day kind of thing. Even though it was a tie, it was a great day, and it was an amazing year for everyone involved.
And when you do that sort of run, and as you say, you get around the country and see other leagues, where do you put NPL in that sort of standing when you see the levels around the country?
I think the top teams in the NPL, we compete with anyone we've gone up against. You can see that with Kimberley getting to the semi-final this year. Yeah. I think we looked at once we got to the last 16 and felt we had a really good chance again, but we just couldn't quite get past Smethwick or a good side in Birmingham. It's always difficult, I think, when you go away in the National Cup. Home advantage can play a big part in kind of knowing the conditions. We didn't quite play as well as we could that day. Medic were definitely the winners there. But then they come up against another Nottingham side and couldn't quite get through them. So it's hard to compare leagues because you just don't know the depth of cricket. We play different rules to, I think, other leagues, win and lose draws. So I think it helps us in the national that we just play outright wins. Because we're used to it. We play the same way on Saturday than we do on Sunday.
And there's no changes. The team can be the same. The mentality can be the same. There's just absolutely bang straight on. Here we go.
Yeah, so we'll take the power play on just like we would on a Saturday, same as a Sunday, really. It's just a shortened game because obviously being 40 overs. And then we're just into our work with battle ball. So I think that's been a really positive move by the Notts League. It's forced teams to be better. You can't have one bowler bowl 15 overs. You need 5 bowlers minimum. And it looks a bit more like one-day cricket. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of the Notts League going that way.
Talking about the way the Notts League operates, we're going to come to a subject that fascinates me. And you guys have a points quota system within the league, don't you? Which is something that I've not seen anywhere else. And if it is done elsewhere in other leagues, they certainly don't publicise it the way the Notts League does. Do you want to explain to listeners how that points system works? I think it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, so a few years ago, they went to the point system. We used to just have 2 paid players, and teams in the league would kind of get frustrated that they would have an idea of, they would perceive teams to be potentially paying more for various ways of doing it. So to try and get rid of that kind of frustration or excuse, the league decided to make this point system, which makes it an open league effectively. You can pay whoever you want, as long as you come under this criteria of 21 points. As long as you have 11 players that fit that criteria, then you can pay all 11 if you wanted.
So someone like, let's pick an example. If he's just retired, if you could sign Jimmy Anderson for a couple of weeks' work for you guys, he would be what, at the top number? He'd be 5 points or something like that?
Yeah, I would have thought because he's played international cricket, he'd be a 5. So this has kind of dictated some of the teams in the league's recruitment. Obviously, if you sign people from without the league, if they're a professional cricketer, then that can obviously put you at the higher end of the point system. So you need your homegrown players, definitely. So there's a real balance to getting it right, that you've got to make sure you bring your own through, so you can just add that quality of an overseas or an ex-pro. But there aren't that many 5s kicking about in the league, to be fair. I think a lot of teams will look at more 3s and 4s.
How does it work with someone like Freddie McCann, who's obviously at Papplewick and has just moved on to a professional contract? Does that, obviously he's homegrown, does that still count, or does he, because he's a pro, does it then add some points?
So I can't say that I know this off by heart, but I think because he started the league just as an academy cricketer, so his points would have been a 1 because he is homegrown. So he'll have that for the rest of the year, even though he's going to get signed. Then next year, he'd either go to a 3, but because he's homegrown, he loses a point. So then he'd be a 2. It works along those lines. So if you're homegrown, you'll lose a certain amount off your point system. So somewhere like Cavs, who have Fateh, Bahan, Rahan, all these guys that have gone on to play professional cricket, they are reduced because they've come through their system. So you don't get punished for producing a really good cricketer. Yeah,
that's fair, isn't it? Yeah, it'd be a bit harsh if mid-season you got pushed up to a 5 because he's got called up for Rayan Ahmed was called up to play for England, and all of a sudden you can't play him because you're out of your quota.
Yeah, they've really thought about the quota system, to be fair, and they're always tinkering with it. I think they find different ways to make it better in the few years that it's been going on. So they've done a really good job with it. I haven't really heard anyone complain. Everyone's bought into the idea, and I think that's one reason why the league might have got stronger, because certain teams would have followed the rules in the past where they could only play 2 paid players, and now it's an open league, so they can spend their money if they want to.
I was down at Papplewick scoring a few weeks back, getting this explained to me and forgetting it all whilst they were trying to get me drunk, which was very kind of them. But they seem very, very happy with it.
Yeah, very social club, Papplewick.
Well, yeah, I could have had 5 pints and crashed the car on the way home. I was very restrained, but no, it was.
We were there, yeah. We were there for the T20 finals day a few weeks ago. It's a nice club, great pitch. They did a really good day. So very grateful for them for doing that.
Yeah, I've spent some time studying the format of the quota system, and it doesn't matter how many times I've read it. The one thing that comes back to me all the time, Adam, and you've nailed it, is it's all about getting your own junior system right. If you get your own junior system right, and you can start to bring through good quality players there, you're absolutely bang on when it comes to that quota system, aren't you?
Definitely, I think clubs will probably look at that more and more now that we are getting used to the quota system where you need juniors coming through. But I think a lot of clubs have the same issues where they'll have a lot of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds. It's actually just making them, can they become second team, first team cricketers that age when they get to 18? Where do they all go? You don't seem to have many kids kicking about at that age group that are ready to play Premier League cricket unless they're at the top end of a county system.
Absolutely.
There's a guy in my village, not cricket related, football related, but he's keen on producing thick kids that are good at sport, because then they don't go to university and they stay and play football for his team. So that's finding the balance. You don't want to do too much. You don't want to get all these Oxford graduates because they're just going to disappear, aren't they? You need a good level. You need a good level of sporting ability, but then nice stay-at-home lad.
Yeah, but no, I mean Cuckney's been very fortunate. They've had a core group of players that have come through. Some of them have gone off to uni and come back to the area or travelled back to play. So Cuckney's been slightly different to potentially other clubs, but I think you find a lot of people going down to London to get jobs and whatnot because they see that as a better career move. So I think that's one reason why London's such a strong area for cricket. Yeah. So many people in that area that still want to play. So they obviously benefit from that because they have the pull of the city.
Yeah, talk us about the setup at Cuckney. I mean, we've been up there a couple of times recently, and it's an incredible setup. You've got obviously the indoor school there, 3-lane indoor school that will rival pretty much. Is it 3? Is it 4-lane? Rival any?
It's 3 lanes.
Any setup sort of virtually anywhere, including some counties. You've got wonderful nets, great pitches. How long has that setup been there? Has it been there since you've moved?
So I moved last year. Last year was my first year, but I've obviously played against Cuckney since I was a kid. So it's been there over 10 years easily. The committee that are around have done a fabulous job, and guys that were running the club have made it a real impressive place to play cricket. You've obviously got pitch 1 and 2 that are at the same venue. So the first team will play alongside the third team, which is great. We'll all have a drink after the game and enjoy each other's success. You've got the indoor school, which was recently relayed. So that opens up to not just cricket. We have gymnasts in there. We try and open that up to the local area. And then we have 2 outdoor lanes kind of on that Astro strips. It's a really good facility. I think that's why our junior program's so strong, because we could run winter programs pretty easily. We don't have to pay a fortune for the lanes. So we are really fortunate, and there aren't many teams in Nottingham with indoor lanes. There aren't many places to train at all in Nottingham. So we're incredibly fortunate, and we try and use that as much as we can.
It's a great set. We were there, and there's disability cricket. Walking cricket. That was it.
Walking cricket
when we were up there. Yeah, walking cricket happening there. On a Tuesday morning. It's a really wonderful facility for yourselves and the local area.
It is. Hey, shall we have a quick look at the Notts results at the weekend there, Hugh?
Good to go. Yeah, I mean, poor old Radcliffe made it to a ton, but all out there, and Woolton knocked him off 1 down. Johan Cronje with 63. Simon Walton 5 for 32. Hucknall Papplewitt looked a good game. Papplewitt put up 260. Hucknall 250. Didn't quite get there in their 50 overs. Sam Johnson for Hucknall 76. Dan Blatherwick 4 for 62, and Ben Trevor Jones for Papplewick 88 from 107 to get them the win. Attenborough, who I was expecting to struggle this year, actually starting to put some results together. They put up just shy of 300. Westbridge Fordians weren't able to get there. Harakama then Akun 152 off 145 balls, one of the highest scores in the country this week. And then Notts and Arnold, Plumtree bowled out for 161 in 34 overs, chasing 273. Josh Merkins 100 off 85, and we've got Kimberley, Welbeck. Kimberley, as we know, doing well in the national comps as well, but doing well in the league. 276 for 5 in their 50. Bowled out Welbeck for 190 in 46 overs. And then Cavs, Cuckney, as we heard, Cuckney 2-2-2, and Cavs 2-2-3-5 off 37. Got home relatively comfortably in the end with Viken Kadriga. 113 off 90 for him. And Adam, you were top scorer for Cuckney. Well done. 67 off 106. Just could have done with, increasing the run rate there, mate. Come on, sort yourself out.
Yeah. Blame me. It's all good.
Was that a captain coming in, holding the innings together? You needed to try and push on past that 220 quite clearly, didn't you?
Yeah, it was frustrating. I think we were 30 for 3 or 20 for 3 quite quickly. Mm-hmm. So we were a little bit behind the game where we would want to be. And then, you look down the Cavs line, they've got 3 professional spinners. So we had to work really hard. We tried to set the game up. And we were doing really well. We got to drink, so about 95 for 3. So we hadn't lost a wicket for a period of time. We kept the scoreboard moving. And it got to a stage where, it looked like we could push maybe 240 if we had a good back end, which would have been more competitive, would have given us a little bit more runs to play with if those top 2 came out as well as they do normally. But we just, at the back end, just couldn't quite manage how we wanted to go about that, really. There was one very small boundary that we probably couldn't take it on too much just because of those wickets, whereas I think if you look at the Cavs, the way they went about their business, they targeted that boundary, and only being 1 down after the power play kind of gave them a license to take on whoever came that end. So, frustrating day. Sums up our season a little bit, but Cavs are in form and they make good decisions.
Would I be right in saying that, I've been looking through some of the results this year. Was that weekend result for you a little bit symptomatic of the way the season's gone sometimes? You said earlier, you go hard in that power play. I've noticed a number of times you're losing quick wickets early on, and that does affect the rest. But if you get through that power play, you go big, don't you?
Yeah, I think definitely with the rain, the wickets this year haven't been as good. So I don't think that method of cricket has been probably as easy as it was last year. Yeah. So we've tried to adapt that at stages, but we've changed the order. We've had conversations. It's just quite not worked for us this year as well as it did last year. We've if you look at some of our power plays, we've really taken the game on, and it's virtually been done after 10 overs in some of our chases. Yeah. And then the middle order have just had to work a little bit harder this year, which, a lot of the time we have, where we still won a lot of games, but we've probably just, whether it's the effects from last year, I don't know. I think we lost a few key players from last year that we probably didn't realise that we were going to lose. And Will Butler, who batted 3 for us last year, he kind of picked up a little bit of a niggle at the start of the year, so he hasn't played a lot. He's been playing in the 2s, and then Richard Bostock's capped in the 2s this year. So 2 senior players that we might not have kind of replaced as well as we could have, or people haven't stepped in their shoes as well yet. Still time. But yeah, it's just, you have those seasons. We're still in the National T20. We're still in the Derby Cup. So we've still got things that we're going to try and win. And obviously we won the Nottinghamshire 2020 final last weekend. So we're still positive. We've still got lots of good players. We're still going to be up there for, a period of time.
You are, most definitely.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We're joined, as always, now by our favourite guest who comes on week in, week out, normally to get some grief from me or Mr. Newsome, but I'm going to be quite nice this week as the weather's nice. We're all smiling. How are we doing, Mr. Matt Taff?
Not too bad. A bit sunburnt from a day in the sun at Blackpool yesterday, but doing good.
Yeah, you went to see Lancashire yesterday.
Yeah, made the trip. Had a bit of a watch of the cricket. It was a good game in the end. Turned into a bit of a thriller. So won by 4 runs, Kent, in the end. So it was a good afternoon in the sun. Got
to ask, Hugh pointed it out to me last night. Did Ollie Sutton, was he injured?
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, so he bowled 3 balls. So his second ball in professional cricket took a wicket, and then next ball he's just gone down in a heap in agony. I think it's like, you only presume you could think it's like intercostal muscle in his ribs or something like that, but you could even see him walking out to bat that he was walking on a bit of a tilt, and then there was fair play from coming out, but there was no chance he was holding a bat there.
How unlucky is that? In your first, was that his first game?
Yeah, first professional game. He signed a short contract till the end of the year. Like you say, he's had some year for Formby, And then, like you say, just 3 balls in, he's gone down. I'm sure he'll be back though. He's a serious talent, Ollie.
Yeah. Most definitely. Hey, let's get to it with Mr. Crick himself, Matt Taff. Let's talk about the stable. How they've gone at the weekend. What your batter's done, mate?
Yeah, it's a lot of runs and wickets as well. So leading the way at Attenborough is, hopefully I pronounce this right, is Uday Parakarama. He's gone 152 not out to see his side home there. Australian Patrick Moore for Winchurch Hill, he's gone 130. Lakshan Rodrigo, he's gone a quick fire 72 ball, 120 for Gidea Park and Romford. Dikshanzu Negi for Royton, again, rapid fire 119 off 80 balls. And then Rajit Day, 106 not out for Cowdrey. He's had some day. We'll mention him when we come on to the bowlers as well. He's had a great day out on Saturday. Back in the runs, Manisanka Murasinghe up at Philadelphia. He's gone 105, and they're just the notable ones for this weekend. But like you say, we've had more hundreds, more 90s. It's been a big weekend.
The weather's come around, the runs are running, the bowlers are getting wickets. It's what we want, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Really is.
What you got in the batters there, Hugh?
Top of the country this week, Sam Topping, Preston Nomads against Worthing, 160 not out off 158 balls. There's a slight caveat with these ones. I pulled these down last night, so there might be a few scorecards that didn't quite make it through from Sunday. Parakama Thanakun, that's the Cricket lad at Attenborough, 152 not outs off 145 against Westbridge Fordians. Owen Few, Bishop Stortford, he's also 152 against Potters Bar in the Hearts League. Robert Taylor, Oakham, 150 not outs off just 117 balls for Oakham against Langtons in the Leicestershire and Rutland. And Dion Holden for Menai Bridge against Gresford in the North Wales Cricket League. And then a couple of honourable mentions. Isaac Melentis, who we've mentioned a few times this year, is started out like a house on fire and then settled down a little bit, but he's put up 144. And then Alec Drury of Driffield, I think he's put up 139 off 159 balls. He's hit 400s in his last 6 innings. He hit 3 in a row, a couple of lower scores, and then another 100 today. So he has hit some serious form, and he's now 3rd in the country in Premier League runs scored, having been nowhere a few weeks ago.
Definitely. Hey, let's get into those bowlers, shall we, Matt? What have the Cricket bowling stable done?
Leading the way once again is Great Harwood's Dick Schiller de Silva. He's gone 7 for 64. That's taken him over 80 wickets and 1,000 runs for the summer, for end of July. So he's got to be the best one around.
They've had their money's worth.
Yeah, really have. Ravindra Karunaratne, Grampan Road, 6 for 25. Ainsdale's Delanka Orwart, 6 for 29. 5 for 6 for Roshan Lakmal of North Devon. Rajit Day, again, backing up his 100 in the first innings with 5 for 37. And then notable mention for your friend Livo, Dushan Vimupti, Townville. After a couple of weeks off, he's back with a 5 for so. Must have listened to the pod last week.
Yeah, I was looking closely, and he also did for New Farnley in the T20 final up in Bradford yesterday with 3 wickets as well. So Dushan obviously heard us. We told him he'd had a couple of weeks off. He's back on it without a doubt.
Really is.
Definitely. Hey, Hugh, we can beat that nationally though, can't we?
We've got a 9 for, Lawrence Perry. We've had a few 9 for recently, haven't we? I'm feeling like there's been more 9 for this year than last year, and the pitches weren't exactly wonderful for much of last year, but so... Well, I'll have to check that stats out. But yeah, Lawrence Perry for Desborough against Wollaston in the Northants League, 9 for 25 off 10 overs. Pretty handy spell there. We've got Tom Hope, 7 for. We've got 6 7-fers. So Tom Hope, Longton against Burslem in the North Staff South Cheshire League. Samuel Grant, 9 overs, 7 for 19 for Clifton Alliance against Holsden-Gary in the Yorkshire Premier League North. Ross Bretherton for Leyland versus Longridge in the Northern Premier League. Josh Smith with a 7 for Lansdowne against Bishopston. And Dharmasala Singh Jala, 7 for 50 for North Mims against Radlett in the Herts League. And then the last 7 for, we'll go down to 7, Lucas Murphy, 7 for 57, Clitheroe against Haslingden. And then an honourable mention for Matt Siddle at Fleetwood, 6 for 14. Fleetwood against Chorley
in the Northern Prem.
Which is taking Fleetwood still at the top of the Northern Prem there. And I'm going to give an honourable mention to the next one in the list, Liam Gray at Northern, who took 6 for 19 in 8 overs against Wigan. Liam's been in a decent run of form, but the key to that one is he took 6 for 18, Northern bowling Wigan out for 46. That game was over, all done and dusted from start to finish in 25 overs. That was a very short day out for everyone over at Northern, without a shadow. So some great runs and some great wickets around the country there. And as always, what we'll do, Mr. Taff, is we'll put some names out there on our Twitter poll tomorrow. We'll see who's got the ECB Performance of the Week with CricX. There's got to be a CricX player in there without a shadow, coming from Attenborough CC without a doubt. It's definitely starting to liven up as we get into August now, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, good weekend's weather, and it does show them coming to the party. So fingers crossed for another good couple of months of weather and see where everyone ends up.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us again, Matt.
No, all good. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Adam, 25 overs, from start to finish between Northern and Wigan. What's the shortest game you've been involved in from start to finish?
Yeah, specific question. I can't say I've ever seen a 25 over game. I've seen a few teams bowled out for 50 maybe, but in my experiences, I can't say I've ever got close to that.
Yeah, and hopefully you don't want to get close to that, do you? Unless you're on the right side of it, clearly.
Yeah, as long as we're on the winning side, don't mind.
Exactly. Coming towards that sort of hard end of the season now, what's your sort of key hopes for Cuckney in the next 6 weeks then, Adam?
Well, I hope we can find some better form in the Saturday comp, try and finish as high as possible. I think that's important for us as a team, that we kind of don't just fall away and we try and finish as high as we can. We've obviously got the Derby Cup, which we're defending. We play that in a few weeks in the quarter-final. Pink ball, coloured kit, so something we really look forward to, something that we'll enjoy. So hopefully that will kind of keep us motivated to keep training hard. And then obviously we have the T20 area final next week. So I'm hoping to go both those competitions as deep as we can and show our quality, even though we might not have shown that as much on a Saturday this year.
And you've got an interesting 4 teams in that area final yourself. Denby, who've had a very mixed bag of a season in the Derbyshire League. They started off the season very poorly, but are really starting to rock and roll right now. Doncaster Town and Woodall Spa have been one of the biggest run scorers of this season around the Premier Leagues. Be an interesting day, that, won't it?
Yeah, really good. We played Denby in the National. I think that'll be quite a useful T20 side. Lots of spin options, a few guys that can give it a good whack. Doncaster apparently have a very good overseas. And then Woodall Spa, I think Matt Carter might play there. They're normally a pretty good side from Lincolnshire. I think their wicket's pretty good, but we're obviously at Doncaster, so Joel Gunn played there last year, so hopefully he'll be able to give us some tips on the wicket and the conditions that we'll face.
And that's the key to these area finals, isn't it? They all get played at one place, but you've got to be prepared for whatever comes at you, because these guys, you don't see them on a week-to-week basis from the other leagues, do you?
No, but we're pretty good at preparing. We'll do our research. I think that's probably been one of our skills the last few years, that we've really gone into detail on what we're going to come up against to give ourselves the best chance, and that will be the same for Sunday.
Definitely. Hey, we're going to leave it there this week. Nice quick episode for everyone to listen to. Thanks for joining us, Adam. Been waiting to get you on for a few weeks. Hope to catch up with you towards the end of the season, hopefully as well. Hugh, thanks for joining us from Shrewsbury. Hope you don't get too sunburned when you take that hoodie off eventually.
No, I'm going to get crack into the sun cream. They have deck chairs to hell with cricket. Just sit in the sunshine. It's unreal. I've actually got some time off and the weather's sunny.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Adam.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Cheers.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.